Okay, guys, here we are. Video number two. Today, I would like to talk to you about my past experiences, in particular, my addiction, and kind of coming up out of that and what I learned from those experiences. Now, to really help you understand why and what I went through, I got to give you a little. What do you call it? Information about my life, I guess. So, set the stage about a year after I first discovered meditation, spirituality, all that jazz. Um, I'd had a girlfriend for about 11 months, I think it was at that time, close to it. And my parents as well were together for almost 25 years. And now, around this time, I was having doubts about my relationship, and I had a feeling that it was time to end things, and that sucked. But I had to do what I had to do, so I had to set a date that I was going to do it, and I was ready to go. So I'm sitting down eating dinner with my family, and I can still remember. I think we were eating spaghetti and blah blah blah, and both my parents started crying, and well, they tell us they're going to break up. So, as far as days go, not a good one. That was a rough day for me, and I'm smiling and laughing about it now. It was, I guess, just what I needed in a way. Um, but yeah, it was kind of shitty. As I'm sure you can imagine, nobody wants to go through that, especially because my entire idea of love, right, from what I learned from my parents growing up, seeing their relationship, that's what I knew of love. And then I just tried to discover it for myself for the first time, and well, I don't, I guess I failed at it. And so it kind of just got flipped upside down. And that's not all that pushed me over the edge, if you want to say that, but that was kind of the turning point. Then, about 2 weeks later, went to Jamaica with a friend, and I did a buttload of cocaine. Yeah, not my best choice. Not at all. I'd done it once before. Really wasn't anything, it was months before, and then I guess you could say I was in a vulnerable state, and I did a buttload of cocaine. um, and I didn't really know why I was doing it. It wasn't like I had this intention, like, oh, fuck the world, I'm gonna get, I was out on vacation, I was drinking a lot, and I was like, sure, why not, let's fucking go for it. And I guess you could say it was harmless at first. I mean, obviously that everyone has their own interpretation of drugs, all right? But I think as far as cocaine goes, it's not something you should play around with. I mean, it really doesn't. It gives you much more bad than it does give you good. Let's just put it that way. So here's me. I did it on the vacation, and then after that, it kind of started to be a weekend thing every weekend, I was also started having a trouble with alcohol, and I drank, smoked weed, and all that kind of stuff since a really young age. Like, probably first time drinking was like 10 or 11, same thing for weed. And so I got into it. And the reason I got addicted, actually, was because I was convincing myself that it was healing, and it kind of did feel like healing. For me, um, I guess I had trouble. I don't even want to say that. It just helped me express myself more freely. In the moment, when you're on that high, you can just, at least in my experience, just pour your heart out. Just be yourself, and just say it. Say what's on your mind. Don't even think about it. And in a way, I think that's healthy. In other ways that I'm sure you can imagine, that is not healthy. But because I was being so open and honest, and I was having conversations, it felt like healing to me. I was convincing that I was getting better, and really all I was doing was setting myself back. I would take a step forward and 5 step backwards. I would have a great night and, have all these friends and these great conversations. And then for the next 5 days, I would just feel like shit, wondering what I said. Was it too much? Or oh, like that person doesn't even like me. Like, what am I doing? Blah, blah, and just, it was basically like depression. And I was giving it to myself, which, yeah, well, it's not a good idea. So I went through all that, and made some mistakes. Needed to learn some lessons. Hurt some friends that I shouldn't. I didn't want to hurt. I didn't mean to hurt. I was in a very unstable place. But through it all, I'd always had this idea that there was something more for me. I knew that this wasn't my path. I knew this wasn't going to be my life. I couldn't find the strength within myself to pull myself out of it in that moment. So about a year of that goes by, maybe longer. I'm not too, kind of a haze though, those years. A lot of drinking, a lot of drugs. Let's put it at a year. And I think the job I went to, so I travel a lot for work. Now this job in Chicago came up, but it wasn't like I was gone for a couple of weeks. I think I was there for almost 6 months. Now I'd come home, but I was away for like almost 2.5 months. And to me, this was heaven sent. I was like 2.5 months away from drugs. That was really my mentality. I was like, I've been wanting this. I've been asking for this break and didn't have the strength to give it to myself, so I was giving it. So there we go. So I have this break now, and I don't do cocaine for a couple months, I think, at least. And through all of this, I want to say about a month into this, whatever, I was getting back into meditation. I was really finding my groove, I had some other things I wasn't dealing with, and yada, 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 but I was really starting to focus on my growth, reading, all this fun stuff. And I had this thought that came into my mind, and it was, love is not a drug. Over and over again. I would be working, chopping away at something with a sawzall, cutting up wire. I work in demolition, by the way, but that's not important. And this thought just kept popping up. So after one particularly drunk evening, I was very hungover, laying in my bed in the Airbnb we're at, which I'm in an Airbnb now, by the way. I don't know why I told you that, but the more you know, I guess, right? So I was laying there, and I guess I just decided I was going to get to the bottom of this. What is this? Now, for me, and I still do this sometimes, I kind of try to stop, but whenever I had an issue, I would kind of project it on other people in my mind, right? And I guess even in a way, I'd project it on other people in real life as a way to kind of figure it out. So, I'd be in my head giving a pep talk to one of my friends who was much more addicted than I was, let's say. And when I started going into this thought, this reoccurring thought, I realized very quickly who I was trying to speak to, and that was myself. Because the whole reason that I was doing these drugs, and I was using not even just cocaine, but alcohol, mushrooms, and cannabis, the way I was is because I had subconsciously given myself this idea that love was a drug. Even at the beginning of my spiritual awakening, right? I had this really awesome mushroom trip with my brother. It's I love thinking about that time, right? But I'd never really felt that happiness before. It was like just this everything was going to be okay feeling, and that's a wonderful feeling, which is why I love mushrooms. But I misunderstood it, right? So I got this idea that kind of happiness came from the outside. It was coming from the mushrooms or the cannabis, all these wonderful thoughts, oh, it's the weed, they did that for me. My self-confidence, that came from, cocaine or my happy, fun, fuck it, man, attitude came from alcohol. And well, I mean, I hope you see the problem with that, right? I mean, I sure did. After a while, I realized that my love was outsourced. I was giving all my power, all my inner power was given to something outside of myself. And it wasn't even just drugs. I started with drugs, and this is all while I wrote this poem thing. I was writing it down, and then I started to realize I was doing that with relationships as well. My friends. I would, I got told time and time again, I should be a therapist. Oh, you should be a therapist, blah, 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 because I really do enjoy hearing other people's opinions and what's going on in their life, and I genuinely care about them. I want them to do good, especially if you're my friend. Um, I want you to be better. um, and I realized what I was doing is I was kind of deflecting. I was using other people's emotions to kind of distract myself from my own. And I won't say that it was all necessarily a negative thing. It was a thing because I did grow a lot. Hearing other people's opinions and ideas and beliefs and experiences helped me put that into perspective in my own life. But it wasn't my full potential, right? Because I was outsourcing my love. And so I guess I had this epiphany: love is not a drug, and I really needed to change that, right? I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Yada yada yada. Relationships. Love is not a drug. Cocaine. Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, love is not a drug. We got that covered. All right, and okay. So where do we go from there? So, oh, there we go. That's a good start. That's a good spot. So, I figured this out. I'm like, oh, and I had tears and the whole thing. And I remember I texted my older brother, who I looked up to, especially in the beginning of my journeys, and best friend ever, love you, buddy. I texted him. I told him, I shared with him what I was experiencing and what I wrote down, and it was just it was an awesome moment. It was a great breakthrough for me. And I guess I started, what do you call it? Getting love from within, recognizing love was not a drug, and that even though these drugs were helping me get to this point, and I'd had this thought before and just kind of put it together, especially on mushrooms, it was myself, Yeah, sure, the drugs did help, but I created that experience, Now, if any of you have done mushrooms or weed or whatever or drunk, everybody experiences differently. Some people don't even like drinking. I know, crazy, right? Some people on mushrooms, all they do is stare at a wall and just laugh at themselves. For me, it was introspective, like just feel good and figure shit out. Kind of look into life, right? Everyone has their own. Fuck. Forgot where I was going with that. Everyone has their own perspective, right? Hold on, I'm gonna rewind this video. Okay, I think I got it. Didn't figure out how to rewind it because I'm in the middle of making a video, but I had recognized that this love, these feelings that I was creating, even though I was on drugs, I was creating within myself, right? And so, in that way, I could get my power back. And fuck. Okay, so I'm drawing a blank. I'm just gonna take that as a sign to end this video here. I kind of covered what I wanted to talk about. Love's not a drug; it comes from within. That's your inner power. And after that point in my life, I started really trying to find ways where I could bring that back into myself. Through meditation. There's a really good book called The Secret, or Actually, I much more prefer the power, which is for other reasons that I'm sure I'll get into at a later date, much better. Um, and yeah, I guess just hope you guys have a wonderful day. Hope you enjoyed this video. My next video, I'm gonna kind of go on about how I found that inner power and all that jazz and blah blah blah. Maybe I'll talk about mushrooms or whatever. If you have any questions, anything like that, throw some comments down or something. And peace out.